Return to Glory podcast. Happy October, everybody. Hunter Zarbin, Austin Rose, Dakota Freetag. We have a good interview for you later in the episode with Jeff Wernsman, Dak's stepdad. Check that out here at the end of the episode. But it's Michigan State week.
We did it. We made it. I've been looking forward to this game. No, I don't care. Yeah, I guess Michigan State week. Last time we played the Spartans, it's been a while. Feels like maybe not. 2023, I guess it seems longer ago. Longer ago than it actually was. I mean, that was only 2 years ago. It doesn't seem like longer than 2 years ago we played Michigan State.
Was
Yeah, I don't
that
know.
was that
I'm
here or
just
there?
That
I'm
was
scarred.
there.
I'm scarred by that last game. So it feels like it was last
Were
year to
you
me.
at that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, seems about right.
Oh, that was the one. That was the one where I think that's the worst reffing game I've ever saw in my life. Not because I had $100 on the game. That's not why. But I'm dead. I'm dead serious. Do you guys remember that pass interference across the middle in that game where the guy just got decked?
I kind of vaguely remember it.
Yeah, and there was other calls. That was, yeah, and Michigan State was pretty bad that game, and that's up there with one of the worst losses in a while.
Yeah, that was I think Mel Tucker's first year
Yep.
at Michigan State, and it would have been Scott Frost.
No, it would
I
have
don't
been
know, one of
Matt
his
Rule's
last. I don't know.
first. It would have been Matt Rule's first year, wouldn't it have been? 2023?
Yep.
Three,
Well,
yes, it would have been Rules first, I guess. So yeah,
so
maybe I'm thinking of a different year.
it would have been like Tucker's last year
Yeah, I was thinking the couple of years before that, I guess, when Tucker was in his first year and Frost
in
was in his
2021 where we lost 23 to 20.
that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I all these years run together. They're all not great. Did we win that year?
Nope.
I didn't think we did either. So that's the one I'm thinking of. The 2023 year was Matt Rule's first year. So I I think this year is Matt Rule's third year, right?
You're right.
And
Got that one.
Jonathan Smith's second year. I think that's a big thing, right? And we're supposed to be a year further along than the Spartans and Jonathan Smith are there. So I have listened for the first time in a while to a couple of podcasts that were Michigan State based, which I kind of forgot how good of info you get from that, and what their perspective is on things. And Michigan State's in a place right now that they're not necessarily feeling really good about Jonathan Smith, but they're not like get rid of him yet.
They're
Um,
3-1.
so it what's interesting though is like there's people that are not happy with Jonathan Smith, and they also threw in the caveat that Kurt Signetti ruins all of this because he shows that you can do it very quickly. So again, it's kind of more of a traditional rebuild that he's trying to do at Michigan State, and not necessarily going poorly, but some people want faster results. And so I think this for Michigan State would be a big signature win on the road, kind of to the magnitude of us beating Michigan that we can't do. But they're not probably expecting to win this one, but they feel like they have a shot if things go well. So I do think it's interesting to think about it from the other team's perspective too, because this is a pretty big game for them going on the road. They just went to USC and played a pretty decent game and weren't able to win though. So I thought that's an interesting thing. I forget that's also very good insight when we're so ingrained in Nebraska media to listen to some other schools' opinions.
Um, yeah, I guess I'm trying to remember what my opinion was of Jonathan Smith when he got hired at Michigan State. Because this is just his second year, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Um, Previously at Oregon State, which was good, but it was also in like the Pac-12, which no one knows if it was an actually good conference or not. Apparently it was, but maybe it wasn't.
But
I
Oregon
remember
State's
thinking,
really bad now.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
really bad.
horrible.
So it must have been. He must have been. I mean, he's probably a good coach. It's only year two. Mel Tucker was a really weird era for Michigan State because they had an incredible first year and then not so great. And then I'm trying to remember what the scandal was. I feel like it had something to do with a staffer having sex with someone.
No idea.
Why he got fired. But
I don't think
Michigan
they were
State,
winning much either.
yeah, they didn't win a whole lot either. So they had that one weird year where they made the college football playoffs and got killed, if I remember correctly.
That was early on. It wasn't with Mel Tucker. It would have been, that was a while ago.
Yeah, I'm just
That
trying to think of
was
their recent success, but I don't think really anything since then. That year and then the Mel Tucker first year where they started out really hot and then kind of tuckered off, tailed off. Ayo.
Dak, what do you know about
you
the
can update yourself
Spartans?
for that. What'd you say?
What do you know about the Spartans?
I'm see. I'm surprised that they all want to fire John Smith because, like Austin said, I feel like they've been down for quite a while, and this is like
Did you listen to me though? I didn't say they all wanted to fire Jonathan Smith.
But they say
I said there's people that want to, but not they all.
yeah. There's a weird
there's.
feeling.
I feel like this is at least the last couple times they Michigan State. I know they lost 2023. That this is like one of the better teams Michigan State's had in quite a while. I feel like they've kind of been the doormat of the Big Ten for at least the last 5 years. I can't remember the last time Michigan State was like. I mean, what did they made bowl game? When did they made a bowl game? Every year?
Probably more than Nebraska, I guarantee you
Gosh, I
that.
don't know. Dak, you're like all on like an extreme level today. The doormat of the Big Ten. I mean, come on. There's some really bad teams in the Big Ten.
Nebraska has
I feel like Michigan State has been.
No, I mean the doormat.
Not
I would say Michigan State was kind of in the same window as Nebraska was for a while, where they were like hardly making bowl games or not making bowl games, but they're tough out. I don't
let's
know if
change
I say
from the
doormat.
doormat to the lower tier of the Big Ten.
Yeah, lower
Yeah, I mean,
tier.
I would not put them in the doormat.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I might
think
have a little
Northwestern
extreme
and Purdue
there.
have locked that up, but
I would say they've been the lower tier of the Big Ten for the last 5 to 7 years, and this is one of the better teams they've had in quite a while. I'd say.
yeah, I think it's still yet to be seen. We'll get into Michigan State, exactly what they're good at here in a second. I want to give a little rant. I haven't ranted much this year yet. So Austin's rolling his eyes. He's ready for it.
I'm ready. I probably agree with this one. If
yeah, it's not really a rant on anything Nebraska related, but it's more of a. And this actually goes back post or pre-Michigan game too. But it's more just how people talk and post and communicate about stats and numbers, and it's kind of got ridiculous, I think, with some of the things that are out there now and how people absorb that information. Be careful what you look at first from a factual standpoint, from stats and numbers, because there are fake things out there a lot. But specifically on the stuff that is actually true and factual, keep in mind what that data is representing, and how much to soak that in, because all you hear is when you put Nebraska's ranks into context or numbers of leading the Big Ten in pass defense or scoring, the rush numbers versus the pass numbers, and like all of the data and stuff. I get it, numbers are numbers, but keep in mind 2 of those games on who we played. I think everybody's really talking up on, I mean, our offense kind of, it's fixed, it's best, it's good again. Our pass defense is the best ever. Like, yes, but 2 of those games were against high school teams. And I wish there was a kind of an easy database access out there that you could get to like get rid of games that were like 30+ point margins across the board with everybody, because it's just not reflective of like what your team actually is, in my mind. And so when I hear all these like numbers and different metrics and things that Nebraska is doing really, really well at, um, I take it with a very big grain of salt. Like, especially now. Now, as we get into the Big Ten play and some of those get balanced out, you can start looking at them a little more. But as of right now, it's hard. Now, on the flip side, that makes the rushing stats even more concerning.
Right.
Because when you do throw those in there, including with the other two games, we're still very poor when you look at it from a nationwide. Now, caveat, I do understand that other teams in the country have played some other poor teams too. So those are also factored in there. That is true. But when you're just looking at the pure numbers of whatever that may be, I mean, Dylan Raiola's numbers, I think, also are probably a little bit inflated, even though he's been very, very good. But
I would say,
look at who we've played.
yeah, but I will say like he's been consistent for all 4 games. So that'd be my counter. I was gonna
Correct.
jump in on this and be like, of all the stats, I feel like the one stat I feel the best about is Dylan Raiola's performance
Yep.
because he's been the most consistent aspect of the team.
That's just the general public announcement of when you're looking at stats or listening to people talk about stats and ranking and all of that, like keep in mind where the numbers are coming from and who you played and if that's truly a reflection of what you think of the team. Because in my mind, I've like thrown those two games completely out the window. Like they were again good blowout wins. It's awesome. And some people like got really excited that we killed people, which is great. But like I don't even they aren't even like processed as to me as like how this season's gonna go. They don't impact. Now they help get 2 more wins to get to a bowl game, but they don't impact how I think these next 4 games need to go. That those have no influence on my opinion of these next 4 games.
I mean, you look at Michigan State, they're averaging 35 points a game, but who have they played? You know, granted,
Yep.
they still put up what 34 points, 32 points against USC, 31 points. But Youngstown State, Boston College, which not a terrible team in Western Michigan. No, I agree. Like I remember in college, good old Sue Vatz. She made the comment that you could torture a number long enough, it'll tell you whatever you want to say. Um, and yeah, Nebraska, people are like, they're in the top 10 of offense. Before going into the Michigan game, it was like, oh, top 10 offense, defense, and special teams. It's like, I don't know if any Nebraska fan really feels like that. Um,
I don't.
Whoa, Dak,
Well,
please jump
well, what I
in
was gonna
there.
say is with stats, you also gonna have the eye test. I think the pass defense, you can see it's actually, I would say, very. I wouldn't
It's
say top
solid.
10, but top. Yeah, it's a solid pass defense. Like I think the stats, and like you said with Raiola, although there is some stats thrown around, I saw his QBRs ranks below Gronowski's. I don't know if that was a fake Twitter account or what. It was a USC top Big Ten quarterbacks. He's ranked 11th in QBR, which I don't know if QBR's gotten worse. That's a stat that I don't believe anymore. But but
Dak, I guess yeah. To your point, I agree that it reflects and still shows. Like yeah, our pass defense is probably our strongest unit. We would say. Now, when you look at the stats, guess who ranks #1 in pass defense in the country right now?
I actually just saw this the other day.
We do.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
like, do you think we have the best pass defense in the country?
No.
Probably not.
That's because our run defense is so bad that people can just run it on us. Why would they throw it?
So yeah, I'm with you. Like I get it. It does show stuff, but I agree that the eye test is probably more important. But some people that don't watch the games or rewatch or watch like as closely, they're just seeing numbers and results and then making an opinion off of that on social
Yeah.
media. And like to me, you can't do that. Like you can, but you can't. Like that's not an informed, accurate thought process, I think, by just looking at numbers that are posted when there's such a few sample size. Now, go look at it maybe over a year long and look at it from previous years. You can form a lot more thoughts when there's more than 4 games and 2 of them are against high school teams. So that's my stat rant. But Austin, you brought up a good point with Michigan State. Like on the negative side of things, they've only played 4 games, but look at who they've played and look at some of the points they've given up. I do think that when you look at it from that angle, you maybe can take a little bit away that Youngstown State and obviously, the likes of USC, Boston College, who just lost to Stanford, who I thought Stanford was really bad coming into the year was going to be. Like they've given up some points to all of these teams. And that got to make you feel good as a Husker fan and the offense coming into this week.
Plus, I don't know. At some point it'd be interesting to see. They're coming off of a bye week, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I know you get a bye week after that as well. So I don't know what Arthur Smith, geez. Not
The
Arthur
Falcons.
Smith. I don't know what his record is off of a bye, but I'd be interested to see that. Because we're also coming off a bye week. I feel like Matt Rule's record off a bye week is not as good as I would like it to be.
Our record's not as good in general.
Fair.
They haven't stopped anybody yet, so this should be a game where the offense just pops off. 35 plus points is where it should be. Like if what Youngstown State put up 24 on them, something like that. And if they're putting up that many, then any team out there, every team they play has just torched their defense. Like it's terrible.
That's true. Western Michigan only put up 6. That's not torched. That's great.
And
Yeah.
that's torching for Western Michigan.
And I think this offense is going to be very excited going into this game. On the other side of the ball at a high level, I think that our defense has a lot of things to prove going into this game, especially up front. It sounds like from the podcast I listened to, they have some NFL type receivers that Aiden Childs, their quarterback's going to be throwing to, and Aiden Childs is mobile, but maybe doesn't want to be, but is able to be, which sounds like some of these other quarterbacks that we faced so far this year. He's
good. And he's averaging almost 70% of his passes completed with 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. No, this is his second year.
Second year?
He was at Oregon State before, remember? Like 3 years ago, and he was good there.
And went with Jonathan Smith.
Yeah.
So I'm also very impressed by him, just some of the clips that I've seen. I wouldn't say he's like a top 2-3 quarterback in the Big Ten, but I've also seen him potentially getting drafted too. So having some good skill sets.
Do we think he's better than Sorsby on Cincinnati?
Yes.
Yeah, I would probably say so. Yeah.
And I feel like we had some issues with Sorsby on the ground, particular, not necessarily in the air, but
and I would say Aiden Childs is probably a better thrower than Sorsby potentially too. So
I would agree with that.
You got to think Aiden Childs. I mean, he can run, and he hasn't done it as much as I thought he should this year. But you got to think this is a game where he's gonna, after watching the Michigan tape, he's gonna take off and run quite a bit. Like especially coming off from bye, I feel like they're gonna have quite a few design runs for him. And hopefully come with the bye that, I mean, you got to think that D line and linebackers especially, they had stopping the quarterback running drills all week long, you'd think.
Yeah, we'll see how many designed runs specifically. What worries me more is just after the initial pass rush, the scrambling that like Sorsby got to us. I thought Underwood, we did an okay job of not letting that get too out of hand, but he also had a couple of long runs. So
he had a couple of long runs, and he had a lot of bad passes when he was scrambling to open receivers. So
yeah, Aiden Childs is for sure a better passer than Bryce Underwood. We can say that.
Aiden Childs is not too far from Dylan Raiola. as far as I'm not saying overall talent, but like looking at this, like just the numbers this year, like he's pretty good.
He scares me coming this week. I think he's he. It could be a shootout this weekend, and it could come down to which quarterback plays better. That's what I think it will come down
And
to,
we never
actually.
win shootouts.
Yeah, that's the vibe though I'm getting to a little bit, and to me that's scary. I don't like that. That makes me a little uneasy being in a shootout, just given the team that we've had and wanting to win a game. So
I mean, yeah, because you talk about them beating Boston College in overtime, which lost to Stanford. I mean, we beat this Boston College team in December by 5 points. It's like,
mhm.
well, I don't know. What was that? What was their drop off from last year to this year?
Quarterback.
Yeah, could be.
We didn't play Castellanos.
That's right. We didn't.
Huh. Okay, not quarterback then.
Big Nebraska fan that you are.
Might have
All
missed
right,
that.
well, we're going to get to our interview here with Jeff and kind of break this thing up, and then we will be back after the interview with our things we're looking for and our score predictions for Michigan State.
We have a special interview today with my stepdad, Jeff Wernsman. He's a long time Texas Longhorn fan. Oh wait, wait. No, you've been a Husker fan for a long time. How long have you had season tickets to the Huskers?
Oh, I don't know. I think we probably had them close to 8 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, their tickets
all
are
right. Let's jump in.
pretty close to where mine are at. I think they're like middle of the South Stadium, I think, or North Stadium. Not too far from us.
Yeah. About the East hash marked all the way up row 86 or so.
After the last few years, we're lucky that you kept them.
Yeah.
You don't want to elaborate on that one?
And not really.
Yeah, I think
And we've had a lot of rough seasons up there.
Yeah, I mean, the past 8 years, I think, have been some of the worst ones. Probably in your lifetime for sure, but even in back in my lifetime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They were really rough, and stupid me, I even added 2 more to it. So we got quite a few up there, but we're still faithful.
there you go. Well, this week's Michigan State game, coming off a bye. What are you looking for this week? Like coming off the bye that you're looking for that they improved on the most?
The most, I would love to see the defense improve. I mean, the line, it seems like there's no urgency there, no pass rush. I don't think we pressured one quarterback this year. If we did, it was very seldom. Um, the 2 holes that we left last week, you could have drove double wides through them. I mean, I could have walked through them to score a touchdown. We need to close that down.
Yeah, the both line of scrimmage, I think defensive line coming into the year, there were some question marks, but the offensive line maybe has been a little bit of a surprise as we thought maybe we were okay in that aspect. This week, it sounds like the tackles in the situation there, they're trying to figure that out. What's your prediction for Saturday? Who are we going to see, I guess, on both ends of the offensive line?
On that there, I really don't know which players we might see or any names per se, but I hope to God we get somebody to get the job done.
And that's what matters. I think the big talk this week is maybe Elijah Pritchett. I don't know like why. I guess everybody's just like talking him up. Apparently, he's been grading out the best and looking the best. He obviously is the one that's getting false starts as well. So I'll be curious too. I mean, as far as getting the job done, that's I think number one most important on who that is.
Right.
So
I'm gonna go here. Next question, more big picture with Rule and the program. Are you in on Rule still in? How patient are you with him, and are you happy with the direction that it's going so far?
I am happy with him so far, and I'm happy with the direction that it's going. I mean, you've got a lot of rebuilding to do to start with, and that's ground zero. I mean, not just on the football field, but the culture and everything else. And I think he's bought into the Nebraska program, and I believe he's here to see it succeed. So I'm a big Matt Rule fan. I like the way it's going. Yeah.
And what kind of follow up? What's the bar standard, I guess, this year that we have to get for you to feel like we're still moving and heading in that right direction from a win total perspective?
Well, I don't think it's all based on wins and losses. However, that's what the fans want and everything. I mean, for a start, next 4 games definitely need to be wins, of course. And I think a good showing against USC would be tremendous. So, no more than 3 losses in my book.
So there's been a lot of talk about Raiola, especially at the Michigan game. There's been a lot of people saying he didn't play well, like maybe give Latif a shot. What are your thoughts on how Raiola's improved this year, or if he hasn't, or how his career's gone so far at Nebraska?
Well, I just heard tonight that he's so far in the running for the Heisman, #1 candidate, whether it's true or not. But no, I think Dylan's doing good for his second season and everything. There are some things that upset me. I don't know whether it's him or the coaching staff, but I feel like sometimes you've got to tuck it and run, dude. And I don't know if it's coaching staff saying, hey, we don't want you to get hurt. We don't want that. But, after watching the NFL the last 2 years, those quarterbacks are more of a dual threat quarterback. And I believe we need a dual threat quarterback. And so that's got to be Nebraska football.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm 100% with you on that. And I think that's where, I mean, fans like us, we struggle when, Dylan is a very talented quarterback and has a very strong arm.
Yeah.
But when it's not really the identity or the thought that you believe on what wins games, it makes it hard to say, well, like you said, tuck it and run. Well, I mean, he has shown that he's not capable of doing that yet, but yet you watch all these other teams in the NFL, but all these college teams too, that quarterbacks, they're able to, they don't have to be great runners, but they're able to at least run when they need to. I mean, Dylan hasn't shown that yet. Now, maybe that's the wrinkle that we've been hearing. Something's coming this week. I don't know, but I'm with you. That's what makes it hard. You root for him, but you also like the style wise, it doesn't quite fit the style that you necessarily want.
Exactly. And what we've seen from Latif, I mean, that looks me like a Husker quarterback from years past there. So, and getting back to, you said the wrinkle that they're talking about we're supposed to see this week. I just heard something about an RB2, but I'd kind of like to see whose name that comes up on.
Yeah, both Rule and Holgerson mentioned that, and something's going to look different. And I think everybody's trying to predict like what that is. My prediction on it is we're going to see Latif a little bit and some run packages to assist the run game. That's where my head went. I think some people, are predicting, is it just going to be Mekhi Nelson at RB2 and going to see him play more? I've heard someone say Carter Nelson maybe getting some snaps, which I thought was an interesting thought. So yeah, I'm curious too what that means, or if they're just kind of pulling Michigan State strings in the pregame.
It'll be interesting.
Well, here's a big top me have talked about. And I you can go off on this. What are your thoughts on the NIL right now era of college football, transfer portal, and all that with college football?
I've been thinking about that because I knew that was going to come up. First of all, let's start with transfer portal. And believe me, guys, it's just my opinion. I'm an old guy. I'm old school. And I mean, Nebraska football was basically born and raised on the elementary football fields that were gravel, and the 10-yard markers were measured with tires embedded in the ground. And I think the transfer portal pretty well took away the homegrown ball in college football. The walk-on program, nobody had one like Nebraska did. And a lot of those kids came from small 8-man schools. And I mean, it was just redneck tough, you know. And the transfer portal, I realize things change and times change. So let's go along with it. And the transfer portal, it is here. That's what's here now. So my feelings are they ought to be able to transfer one time and let them transfer one time once a year. And then after you transfer one time and you want to transfer again, make them sit out a year. Lose a year of eligibility if they want to do that. That's my thoughts on the transfer portal. The NIL, like I said, times have changed. I believe those athletes do deserve the money that they're making off of their likeness. It is them that's bringing the money to the schools and everything to watch them. So that there, you know, I'm not really against. I think they deserve what they earn. But then again, you turned it from college football into NFL. It's a paid sport, which kind of leads me to worry about teams or schools buying their teams. And I think that takes away from college football, buying a football team.
These kids are going to class though, Jeff. They're student athletes.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
What kind of classes we going to?
Golf. I totally agree with you on that transfer portal because if you're an 18-year-old, you can make one bad decision. You can choose the wrong school. I think you should be able 1 year. I like that rule. 1 year you can, or one school you can change to, and you get one mess up, and then if you want to keep doing it, you guys sit out.
Yeah, a couple of interesting things here. One, I guess the rules and legalities, their NCAA is still figuring out what those are. And I'll be curious. I mean, if something like this does come into place, it was at one point in time, and they had some sort of like with college basketball, some more hard hitting rules, but now they just kind of lax them even more. And I agree with you. Like, what is it teaching, these kids, these still students, from a decision-making standpoint, when, you made a bad decision, you can just change your mind and go somewhere right else, where that doesn't usually happen in life that way. So I definitely see that. The other point that I like that you mentioned was the walk-on program in Nebraska football from the old days, and being on the cutting edge, I guess, of toughness and strength and conditioning. I think all of those things were very key factors to why we were so successful back in the 80s and 90s. I guess, what are your thoughts on Rule's approach so far too, on what he's taking? I think he's trying to be on the cutting edge of promotion. He's got his own podcast. He's obviously very active on social media. What are your thoughts on him kind of going that route? And that's his way of, quote unquote, being on the cutting edge.
I think it's a good outlet, really, for the fans to follow him and everything. It's another media outlet to where we can get good looks at him and everything. And you know what? If he's going to keep everybody up to date on it and all of that, I'm for it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the approach we've taken too, and we'll see if it pans out and works. Kind of going back here a little bit, we mentioned the past. I like asking this question to a bunch of people that are our dad's ages that lived through the really good times. Dak and I aren't fortunate enough to remember any of that. What if there is one or a couple moments? What moments do you think led to the start of the downfall of Nebraska football and kind of where we are at now? Where did that kind of start from when things are really good to now when things aren't so good?
I believe it all started from the administration when they made the decision to fire Coach Solich.
Okay.
Right then and there, it started downhill.
It's just interesting to hear. That's a very common pinpoint. And then in conjunction with the hiring of Bill Callahan, I think Solich obviously was part of that success, right? So
I don't really think it would have mattered who you hired after that, unless it would have been somebody from within the program, within the Nebraska program that knew the culture, knew the program, knew what Coach O had instilled for years and years and was passed on by Devaney. I mean, so I don't think it would have mattered who you would have hired.
I agree. I like it.
Yeah, it seems like everybody, like our dads and everything, says that is the main turning point. Like, when Solich wasn't, and there was a lot of stuff that went down with him too. Now, if he should got fired or not, there's people on both sides. But aren't you still on the train, Jeff, that they should have kept Scott Frost?
Excuse me. I don't. You were kind of breaking up there, but no. He was not the fit for the program to turn it around.
Yeah.
I guess tying along with that, I think everyone, when it started, right, when Scott Frost came, maybe I'm wrong, was very happy that Scott Frost was back and he was supposed to be, the golden child and save the program. I assume you were in that same boat. At what point in time did you kind of let that go and be like, all right, we got to move on?
I was. When I decided we need to move on was when we weren't getting no progress made of returning to glory. And that's another question for you, Hunter, later on. But he wasn't making no progress, and you hear a lot of things from the media and what was going on behind the scenes, and I don't think that's Nebraska character. I think they parted ways best amicable way they could have with him, and I wish him luck down there, but Nebraska wasn't a place for him no more.
Now, what are your thoughts on? And he was kind of burning fuel in the fire, I think. But your thoughts on when he said he took the wrong job?
That's him. That's in his mind. And if he meant it as a downgrade to the program or whatever, he's the one that did it. So, taking the wrong job and performing poorly at the wrong job is two different things.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would never happen out in the real world.
Agreed. I got one final question here for you, and Dak failed to mention this at the top, but Jeff is the host of our tailgate that we go to every week, every home game. And I guess wanted to say thank you for everything that you do and allow, us and all of our friend group and family to come and join. Every week, the food is always very good. And what's your favorite tailgate meal to prepare for your guests?
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of that credit needs to go to my wife, Tina. She's the one that she preps all week long for the game, and we all do. And we love to have you guys. We love to have everybody there. I got to break that down, though, into 3 different favorite foods, Hunter,
Okay.
because we have 3 different kick. The 10 o'clock kick, early morning. I like the eggs, kegs, biscuits, and gravy,
Mm-hmm.
and then football. So Coach Rule add biscuits and gravy to that. For the midday kicks, 2:30, 3 o'clock kicks, I've really enjoyed your dad's queso. Your dad's cowboy queso. I helped him prepare that a few times, and that is something that you got to try to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the late nights, here about 3 years ago or so, we did a bunch of smoked ribs, and I really like smoked ribs for the night kicks. So there you have it.
I love it.
Yeah, that probably was my all-time favorite meal. Is that time you had those ribs? That was amazing.
But yeah, Tina deserves all the credit for that, and everybody. I mean, it's a team effort. Hunter, your mom and dad come and help out. There's numerous people, and it has grown in the last 3 years to a lot of people. And we just love to have fun and support our Huskers.
And you guys we got a really great spot down there. It's in the Huddle parking lot, that gravel lot there, caddy corner from the rail yard. So yeah, if any listeners want to stop by and introduce yourself, please feel free and go ahead.
We'll be there.
Well, hell, it's already Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Mom's probably already cooking food for this week.
Well, we got all the totes packed. We're doing last minute cooking tomorrow. So we'll get her all put together and loaded up. And we got diaper keg we got to go to Friday night. So that kind of puts a wrench into stuff. But one question for you, Hunter, is return to glory. What is your definition of glory?
Mm-hmm. That is a great question. Because I've actually heard this get talked about several times on what it means for Nebraska football to be back. And I think with the expanded playoff, some people are defining that, as being a playoff contender year in and year out. I mean, I think as a competitor, from my standpoint, I would take it a step further than that. And for me to be satisfied with glory, it'd be a consistent top 10 team. Getting to the level of where maybe your Georgias and Alabamas, Clemson's in recent years where they've been. I think some people are going to check the box and be satisfied with, getting to a top 25 consistent team. And like I said, competing for the playoff, but I think it goes a step further than that. I really do. Obviously you got to get to be a playoff contender before you get to that next level. But that to me is where glory stops, is when you're competing for a national title, not just a playoff berth every year.
I like that. So that tells me that's winning conference titles and being in the top 10 year after year.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense to me, and I agree with that.
Yeah,
Staying consistent.
And I do think if we do get back to that point where we're moving forward, a lot of people are going to be satisfied and happy enough when we're making playoff, once every 3 or 4 years. People are going to say, oh, this is good enough. Well, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see, who's pushing that needle the next step. Because I do think it's harder to do that now. It's harder to build a dynasty, as you're seeing a lot more parity in college football with all of the new things going on. But I mean, I think that's the goal, right? That's where you want to get to in the end.
I agree.
Well, all right, we're about ready to wrap it on up here. There is one last thing we ask everybody. What is your score prediction for this week?
35-14, go Big Red.
I like it.
Wow. Little blowout.
I got to save mine for the morning, Dak. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've thought about it. And the more I hear about it, it's kind of surprising how bad Michigan State's defense is. It could be a great offensive day. All right, Jeff, thank you for joining us. Hopefully we are going to be celebrating a win together on Saturday.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate you guys.
You bet.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff. We'll see you Saturday.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. Thank you, Jeff, again for coming on our podcast and giving us your takes on the current team and the past teams of Husker football. We're going to move into our things we expect to see, want to see, heading into Michigan State here. And we've had a couple of weeks, bye week, and we've heard a lot. And I feel like some of the same narratives have made their way around the Husker talk world. I think those are pretty accurate in my mind. Start with the offensive line and what is going to happen here on specifically the tackles, but the whole unit as a whole needs to get better. The left tackle situation, and I guess right tackle too, but left tackle, like all I keep hearing from people is that it's going to be Elijah Pritchett. And the depth chart did come out. He was listed as third still. There's also a caveat by rule saying that things are going to change all the way up through Friday. So here's my take on the left tackle. There's a reason why nothing's been decided yet, because everything's so close. And some people think that Elijah Pritchett's so much head and shoulders better than the others. He could be better, but I don't think he's like a world beater. He's not like I am not like Elijah Pritchett's the solution for left tackle and that things are going to be fixed. It's not going to be the case. If it was, he would have started game one. Now he is the one that's having the false start penalty, so maybe that's why he's not playing as much. I don't know. But I don't think it's like a huge talent difference between those other guys on the left side. And I feel like people are putting him like it's his job. It needs to be his. Well, then why hasn't he been the whole time? So I'm not.
I mean, has he looked that much better than anyone else? I feel like
supposedly he has, and everybody's so high on him. Maybe that's previous.
I seem to remember
Alabama.
a Michigan game where all three tackles did terrible.
Yeah. So do I think that getting somebody in there for being more comfortable long term is that maybe tackle's one of those things that I think someone's got to step up, and I don't know who that is. Jeff mentioned someone's got to get the job done. I'm just still worried about that. I don't think you're gonna. That's not something to me that's very fixable. Unless someone just has a mentality flip. I don't know, but it's hard to fix a tackle spot. There's probably some technique stuff in there, but maybe they just aren't that good. I don't know. That worries me.
I mean, I will say saving grace, Michigan State doesn't necessarily have a great pass rush at this point. Obviously,
Not going to be like Michigan's.
Obviously,
No.
yeah, we talk about them giving up a lot of points. They've only had 6 sacks on the year, and I mean 6 is. And the teams that they're playing, they've only gotten 6 sacks. So I don't know what Nebraska's had, I guess, but I feel like we've probably had. I should have looked this up prior. I'm not as worried about their pass rush as I was against Michigan. So that makes you feel a little bit better. We've also only had 6 sacks, and we feel like we have a terrible pass rush. So if that makes you feel better about our tackle situation, maybe it does.
I don't I don't know if tackles position you can have a revolving door and play all three, but I think you guys gotta run one of them out there. If they struggle, you just gotta put the next one in like as quickly as possible. Just keep on bringing them all out there. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you just run with the high hand. Who's
That's
Yeah,
handling the
you
pressure?
that approach though seems to be what we've done a little bit. We
yeah.
just haven't ever gotten to the hot hand part
Right.
of it. So what people are wanting this week, and what I don't know if the coaches are implying this, they want someone to actually be solidified in there and get in a quote unquote rhythm on the left tackle side and quit playing musical chairs with them. I just don't think that that position is one that it to an extent requires a lot of rhythm, but I also don't think I think a lot of that talk to is don't just bench somebody for false starting. Um, I think that's where the Elijah Pritchett stuff comes in. But again, I don't think that Elijah Pritchett, talent wise, is head and shoulders ahead of the other two. To where if he does miss a block or technique or whatever, to your point, like I don't think we need to just let him suffer through if things aren't going well. I don't think he's that good. Um, so that's my thought on the tackle spot there. Running backs and the run game specifically, Matt Rule, Dana Holgerson both alluded to some quote different things coming this week that we're going to see. And everybody right now is speculating what could that be?
Nothing. I'm rolling my eyes right now.
We're going
Nothing's
to be quote
changing.
unquote surprised.
No, we're not. False. There's gonna be
You think
probably like you probably see Jacory out of the backfield once or twice.
Okay, that I like that. I didn't ever think about that. I don't know why I didn't because he's done it before.
Um,
Or maybe he hasn't done it before, but players like him have done it before.
yes, that would be my guess is what they're alluding to is like, oh, you're gonna see a couple, you're gonna see some of these wide receivers that, we're looking for running back depth. It's like, well, let's just put some athletes back there. And I mean,
you're
I
thinking it's a
guess
smokescreen for Michigan State, Austin?
no. Well, I think it's just coach BS is what it is. I think it's we have these plays and we're just gonna try something new, but nothing's gonna change. It's gonna be Emmett Johnson and running 90% of the time, and then 10% is still going to be just this, it's going to be a different bag. The 10% is going to be different, but the 90% is going to be the exact same.
My prediction is a TJ Lateef appearance in the run
Mm.
game. That's maybe more a little bit of an extreme guess, but um, I've heard a Carter Nelson prediction. I've heard obviously your traditional just Isaiah Mosey and Makai Nelson being more involved.
If they wanted them to be more involved, they would have been more involved by now.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't know what I do like the Ja'Cory Barney thought. I do like that. But
Um,
with the run game, like, what is that going to look like to me? And I think this kind of goes into the next part here. Like, what if we're not good at running the ball? And Dana mentioned it, then we're not going to keep running the ball. And I do think the short passes, screenplays, some of that stuff that we all rolled our eyes about with Frost, that might become a little more of our run game, quote unquote, for this offense. So, what I'm curious, and Dak, what are your thoughts? Like, if the run game isn't working, but you need to have a run game to be good in the Big Ten, do you keep? At what point do you stop trying it, or do you just throw it for 450 yards? I feel like that's usually the line that you think.
Yeah, I think the run game's not working, and you can figure out pretty soon. You just can't keep going to it like all game long if you're getting stuffed all the time. I think you just got to air it out then eventually, which you can with Raiola, which is nice. But years past, you just had to stick with the run game. If it's not working, you got to give up on it quick, and it hasn't worked great to start the year yet. Again, against Akron, Kershaw, I'm not really counting that. Um, yeah, I think you gotta try it. You have to try it out first. You can't just come in like, oh, our run game sucks and not try it. You gotta try it out for the first, I'd say 3 or 4 drives, not working. Then you gotta change the game plan, just air it out.
I mean, we're running at about, it's close to 50-50. It's like 52, 48%. Or we're throwing it 52, 48%. So 52% of the time we're passing the ball. Maybe it shifts a little bit up to like a 55-45 split. Um, I don't know. I just keep thinking about the first couple drives against Michigan where we ran the ball incredibly well. And then Michigan adjusted by putting number one on the edge, and all of a sudden we couldn't do anything. So I know it's there. Like
And
I mean,
I thought there were some good holes for Emmett in that Michigan game too. Like the run, the middle offensive line made some really good holes for him to run in that game.
I don't think we'll abandon the run. I don't think. I think it's there. But like I said, yeah, those first couple drives against Michigan, we moved the ball like it seemed like 5 yard chunks at a time when running it, and then all of a sudden they put number one on the left side, and our left tackle kind of fell apart, and the whole backfield just crumbled.
Yeah,
So if we
I'm
can,
with you. I mean, I think that you need more games to quote unquote abandon the run,
yeah,
but I do think we need to see progress this week. And whatever this new surprise is, hopefully that helps. I think our offensive line needs to show improvement too in that area. Being a run the ball guy, and there's a lot of them out there, right? Run the ball, run the ball. Well, then you run it on first and second down, and you get 1 yard each time, and
They're
then
Nate.
then are you still yelling run the ball like that? That's the dilemma from Husker fans. Like, if you want to run the ball, great, but what if you can't? And at what point is that fixable in the short term versus throughout the year from a game to game, or is it just a bigger picture season long thing that we need to get a better offensive line? And I think that's also part of the answer too, is that it's still just not a strong offensive line. And I'm not going to say it's horrible like we've seen in years past, but
do you
I think
guys
that
think
needs to
it's
improve.
interesting that Quentin Ives doesn't get any carries during the actual games? He's only gotten carries against
Yes,
the scrub games.
Yeah.
maybe he's a surprise. I mean, you just don't know. My last thing here for what I guess I'm going to be looking for, what I think is going to be a big part of the game this week, is going to be turnovers and making mistakes. We've gotten away from that conversation this year a little bit because we haven't made a whole lot of mistakes, which has been very, very good in shooting yourselves in the foot. I do think that's going to be a pretty big factor here in a game that it could be a shootout, but I think both teams know they got to be sharp and crisp and execute very, very well. Coming off a bye week, that's what's expected. The team that shoots themselves in the foot, whether that be with dumb penalties, turning the ball over, fumbles, poor special teams play, is going to be at a big disadvantage come Saturday. So that's a big area I'm looking at that, again, we kind of taken for granted because Eckler's doing a damn good job with special teams, and we've kind of cleaned that up a little bit. But in this game specifically, but these next four as well, that's going to be a big thing going in and seeing if we can overcome some of those blunders. Even if we have one too, can we move past it and find a way to win the game still?
I mean, I really haven't thought about the actual errors this
You
year.
haven't, because we haven't had many.
I
No.
mean, we had the missed field goal, and then we've had, a couple of fumbles that we've recovered. And we've had a couple of missed interceptions where it's like, wait, they should have picked that ball off, but they did it. But yeah, you're right. I have not thought about it really that much at all. So hopefully I would look more from the perspective of hopefully we see more turnovers from them, our defense forcing more turnovers than us playing clean, because I'm not worried about it. I do think we've cleaned it up.
And this isn't a game that you're too worried about because their defense is pretty bad. Like this isn't a game that you're too worried about them turning the ball over that much. It'd be more on Nebraska making dumb mistakes, turning it over.
Which is what he doesn't want to see, Dak. That's what you said.
Any other thoughts, Michigan State?
Yeah, I don't want to see Aiden Chiles, whatever, however you pronounce it.
Giles,
Childs, there we go. I keep reading as Chili's, and I was like, I know that's not it, but that's
you're
what
just hungry.
I am. Aiden Childs, I don't want to see him run all over us. I mean, you're right, he doesn't run it that much. He's only had only 40 carries. But I mean, that counts sacks as well. So they've had minus 71 sack yards, and he's had 150 rush yards. So he's really had like 220 rush yards over 4 games. That worries me, and I hope we can handle that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think concerned of how that's going to go, especially coming off a bye week as well, where they've had more time to game plan and see where our holes are at in our defense. Which right now it's stopping. One of them is stopping running quarterbacks. So I'm with you.
Yeah, he's going in the Michigan game. You wanted Underwood to throw the ball and make him not run at all. I don't know if you really want Childs throwing the ball either, though. He's a lot better passer than Bryce Underwood is. So it's like,
I'm
That's
not.
a great point, Dak. I don't know which one I'd prefer.
yeah,
I'm maybe a little bit. If you gave me a pick to throw a pass, I might still take Underwood over Childs. I don't know. I'm not like what you think of Aiden Childs being that much of a better passer than Underwood. I'm not. I don't think he's head and shoulders better
I wouldn't
than
say head and
Underwood.
shoulders, but he's better. And they
Yeah,
have better.
I would say it's pretty close to me.
I shouldn't say they have better receivers than Michigan because Michigan should have better receivers talent-wise, but they've had better receivers as far as production-wise this year, for sure.
yeah. I'm really big on Aiden Childs. I don't know why. I think he's a hell of a passer. That's where I am now. If I had to pick, like I was saying, if I had to pick him, probably running or throwing, you probably still go throwing because of how bad the run defense, especially quarterback wise, has been for Nebraska.
I just want our secondary that's really, really good. Like that's what I say going into Michigan. Make them throw for 350. Put that many guys in the box so that they have to throw the ball down the field to beat us. I think my take is similar here, maybe not as extreme on Michigan State, but don't let up front be the reason why we lose to Michigan State at home. Like use our strengths on our defense, which right now is our secondary, and see if they can exploit us back there. I mean that maybe they can, and maybe that's the thought watching film, but to me, obviously, we're weaker up front. And if you're Michigan State, all you're trying to do this week is exploit that. So a little bit of a chess game. Score predictions.
Gosh, the implied point total of this is what, like 30 to 20, 30 to 18, Nebraska. I think it's gonna be closer than that, but I do think it's probably gonna be like 30 to like 28, maybe 30-25 Nebraska. I'm gonna take us, but I don't feel great about it.
I'm going full shootout. My lock of the week right there is take the over in this game. 45-35 Nebraska.
Wow.
I actually do think it's gonna be a shootout.
I don't think you watch Nebraska football games because we're a clock burning team. There is not a lot of like.
That's a very though like people are predicting that because they don't think Michigan State can stop anybody, and they're worried that we can't stop Michigan State. So, like I've heard,
both teams are gonna get their points on the ground. I just think the game's gonna be shortened more than people think.
But what if neither team can stop either team?
I'm on the opposite side. I think both teams are gonna get their points through the air
with like 70% completion rate, though. I mean, I don't know. You could be right, Dak. I just think people. Nebraska doesn't score 40 points. We just don't.
I don't think I've been within 10 points of a score prediction in the last 2 years. So,
I think our defense is going to show up this week for some reason. I don't know why. I feel good about it, and I think by getting ahead, I don't think we're going to have to keep scoring necessarily. I think we're going to be able to score, but I don't think it's going to be as high scoring because of that. Because I think our defense is going to play really, really well. So. This might be a surprise. I don't normally do this, but I'm going 31-13, Nebraska at home.
Oh,
wow, blowout!
And have being close.
There's one more point I do want to make about this game. I was thinking about this. This game kind of reminds me of last year, the UCLA game.
Okay, I had the same thought. I was going to say that, and I forgot. It does. It reminds me very just vibes wise
because Nebraska was a double-digit point favorite in that one too, right?
right around where we're at.
Yeah.
Should
And
win
this is,
at home.
yeah. And UCLA kind of, I would say, almost dominated Nebraska that game. So this is, if that happens again, that's where you're like, okay, this is not going the right direction.
UCLA is at a very similar spot.
Yep.
That Michigan State is now, just from a program wise. I mean, yeah, I had that same thought too, Dak, actually this week as I'm thinking about this game, and it felt very similar. Game you should win at home. You're favored by double digits. It's a pretty big win, a statement to say, you know what, we're better than a team like this at home. And then we didn't win. So it's a really good point.
Yeah, and we all are going to that UCLA game like there's no way Nebraska loses this, and that's kind of what we're doing here with Michigan State. So we'll see, I guess.
Thanks for keeping my heart in check here after predicting us to win 31-13.
Yeah, you want to change score prediction?
No. All right, we back on Monday morning.
Nebraska volleyball, Penn State tomorrow night.
Yes, big game.
Or Friday night, big game.
Tickets are outrageous.
I believe it.
They're huge. You're going to pay to get into that one.
Also, check out the new Nebraska court. It's awesome.
Yeah, Dak loves that.
I do.
All right, go Big Red.
GBR.
Go Big Red.